Exec, el Vele, el Vele, el fenómeno que todos quieren ser, el chamaquito que no pueden entender.
How we doing, guys? Welcome to the Exec Talk Podcast. This is episode 155. I am your host, Elvis Wasan. Yo. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment, follow me on all my socials, do all that good stuff. Appreciate the support. What do we got on the docket today? Never doubt a guy who, when he was at school at Penn State, broke all the records and seemed like a generational dude, and then gets drafted number 2 overall, which is the highest the running back has been drafted since him. And then write him off because the team that he was with and he got drafted by doesn't know shit about building a team, doesn't know shit about development, and throws away basically Hall of Famers and doesn't build around them. And then when he gets to a good team with a good O-line and a good quarterback and some weapons on the outside so they can't just focus on him, then come out and say, oh my God, he's so good, he should be the MVP. Nah, bro. See, that's the problem with you guys. Like, you say, Saquon Barkley's injury prone and everything like that. Bro, this guy never had an offensive line in his life since Penn State. Never. Offensive Rookie of the Year, no O-line. When he was good and after he tore his ACL and he came back, no O-line. Another 1,000-yard season. So now, like I said, when the Eagles got him in the offseason, I said, this is going to be a Christian McCaffrey type of impact on this team. What are we seeing? Christian McCaffrey type of production. On pace to break Eric Dickerson's record for most rushing yards in the season. On pace to break, I believe is it Jamal Charles' all-purpose yards record in a season. Like, now you're seeing, oh, he got drafted number 2 overall. Yeah, because he's different. Always been different. You don't get 250, jump, cut, stop, start, running plus 22 miles an hour, legs of a tree trunk, squatting 600, 4.3 speed, power, speed, quickness, agility, athleticism, vision. You don't get all that in every running back. You get all that in a guy that's generational, who was touted as generational coming out of school. Out of college, this man got drafted number 2 overall. Tell me a running back since Saquon that has been drafted that high. Oh, wait. No one. That's how special he was. That's how special he is. He's only 27. But now he has an O-line, a legit O-line. Number 2 in the league. I still think the Lions are a better O-line. I just think that Saquon's a little bit more special than that Lions backfield with Sonic and Knuckles. Even though I love Jahmyr Gibbs and I love David Montgomery. But I think that the Lions O-line is just a little bit more nastier. But this is something that you guys should have seen coming. Same thing when the McCaffrey went from the Panthers to the 49ers. You guys should have seen that coming. That type of production explosion, you should have seen it coming. It's obvious when you have that type of talent and you surround them with the adequate talent to exploit that type of talent and exalt that type of talent in every which way, whether it's receiving, whether it's running, screens, angle routes, actually running the route tree, zone, man-to-man blocking, like power, trap. Run anything with him. He got vision. He got speed. He got quickness, agility, athleticism. You don't need cutting. You don't need deceleration. You don't need nothing. Power. You don't need nothing else but a good O-line. But the Eagles don't have just a good O-line. Howie Roseman has built a good O-line even when Kelsey has left. Cam Jurgens is doing a hell of a job at center. After the greatest of all time at the position retires. You got a great quarterback that's learning and not turning the ball over, being more efficient, knowing that he doesn't have to go for the home run ball every single time. He could take his chunks because he has 26 in the backfield. And then you have an elite monster. Well, monsters, but one of those monsters played yesterday. The other one was hurt in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. So what does that tell the defense? Pick one. Pick your poison. What are you doing? Are you going to put 7 or 8 in the box? Oh, we're going to stop the run? If you're going to stop the run and you put that monster out there, swole Batman, one-on-one, Jalen Hurts is going to make you pay. Okay, but if you want to go light in the box and you want to play zone, okay, we'll play some zone then because we're going to block this up and the guy in the backfield needs one cut. One man to miss. That's every single play he touches the ball. One guy to miss. If he gets on the second level, he's probably gone. 255 yards rushing on 26 carries. Are you kidding me? Efficiency is not even, that's an understatement. Called game with another 70-yarder. But I think the first 70-yarder was more impressive. And the reason why, I'll tell you this. If you look at that play in slow motion, and I saw it on the replay, after I saw it live, I was like, oh, damn, that was different. But then I saw it on the replay, and if you slow it down, this man goes from full speed. He hits the hole, full speed. He has an alley, hits the hole, full speed, and the safety's coming down, but he's blocked. Like, they block it perfectly. But he's in the way. Like, he got himself in the way of Saquon. What does Saquon do? One cut. Full speed. I'm talking about full speed. Tyreek Hill, McCaffrey type of cut. Full speed. I'm talking about full speed. And he puts his foot on the ground once. And basically slow motion just stops for a millisecond. And that millisecond gives him enough for his body to move to the side. So he misses that block. And that next foot, it is downhill and we are out of there. The second one was a little bit more routine. The second one, he didn't touch nobody. He was untouched. He hit one cut and woof, I'm gone. And called game. But, you got to stop, pretending that these guys just lose their talent, that these guys don't come out of college with that type of talent. Same thing with Travis Hunter. You think if Travis Hunter comes into the league, gets drafted by somebody like the Giants or the Raiders or the Patriots, you think he's not going to have like maybe some bad games? Oh, my God, they caught a touchdown on him. Oh, my God, he had only 5 catches today for 50 yards? Okay, and then the next week when he goes fucking, 8 catches for 150 or he catches a pick and goes for 100 yards and a touchdown, you're going to say, oh, I guess he found it again. Nah. It's an ebbs and flow to this league. Everybody's good. This is the best of the best. When you have a guy like not even overachieving, but like really hitting his stride, his prime, at a position that you guys thought, really not that important. We can find one a dime a dozen. That's why the Giants are a trash franchise. They should thank their lucky stars that they're the same franchise that had LT. They're the Lawrence Taylor and Bill Belichick and Bill Parcells. They should thank their lucky stars they were the same franchise that had Eli Manning for 17 years and got him 2 Super Bowls. Because other than that, the Giants are a poverty franchise. Can't hire good people. Dayball's a good coach, but can't hire a GM. When the owner tells you, hey, I don't think that I want to see my best player and the guy who sells the most jerseys on our team on our rival in the division. And then you have the goal to tell the multi-billion dollar owner that hired you and entrusted you with the health of his football team and the future. You tell him, Chicago's driving the price up and Philadelphia's out. And then a day later, he's traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah. Exactly. So, be careful where you say, oh, yeah, Saquon going to the Eagles is nice. Nah, it ain't nice. It's devastating for everybody in the NFC and potential AFC opponents that might face them in the Super Bowl because they can get there. They can get there. It's good. And we have found our four. We have found our top four teams that can make the run. The Ravens are just on the outside looking in. But when you talk about Kansas City, because they're the champions, back-to-back defending champions, you know what they bring in the playoffs. Okay? Yeah, they might have their flaws, they're injured and everything, but they still keep winning. Situationally, they're the best team in football. No negative plays. And in the last 2 minutes, you want nobody but Mahomes with the ball in their hands. So, especially in a one-score game. Buffalo, complete package. Quarterback, receiver, Khalil is good. Dalton Kincaid has to get more involved. I like Matt Collins. Love Amari Cooper. James Cook is a good running back, but their offensive line blocks. And Josh Allen's playing the best football of his career. And then the Lions. Because we just talked about the Eagles. And the Lions. 1-2 running back punch that is unmatched. Sonic and Knuckles with Montgomery and Gibbs. Offensive line that is nasty and will destroy you if you allow them to. And then a receiving core who is pick your poison. You want the guy that's possession receiver, but he still has a burst and he still can break tackles, Amon-Ra. Okay. You want to play man-to-man? Well, I got a dude that runs a 4.2 out of Alabama that's just coming into his own, Jameson Williams. And I still got Sam Laporta, which I got to use more because they do have to use him more. And then defensively, they lost Aiden Hutchinson. They got Zadarius Smith, but that back end is solid. Kirby Joseph is tied for leading the league in interceptions. That defense is playing super, super well with under Aaron Glenn. Bobby Johnson is running a great offense. Jared Goff is the most efficient quarterback in the league. Most accurate. So, and then you got the Eagles. Because it's not only the offense. You got to forget, what did the Eagles really spend their draft capital the last 2 years? Oh, yeah, Georgia. That's all you have to say. Georgia. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean. Georgia. That's what they're spent. That's what they're spent their high draft capital on. First rounder, Jalen Carter. Jordan Davis, I think it took in the first round as well. They took Nakobe Dean early second, if not in the first as well. So these Georgia defenders, man, they're really showing up. Nolan Smith Jr., second round, I believe. And they're showing up. Brandon Graham tore his pec, or tore his tricep. He's done for the year. He might retire at this point. He's one of the greatest Eagles of all time. He broke the record for most starts as an Eagle player with 206 or 209, something like that. And he got a sack. He got a tackle for loss in this game. And then the back end, what did they just this year? What did they were like, Bradbury and Slay are getting a little older. How about we use our number 1 pick in the first round on Quinyon Mitchell, a guy that runs a 4.3 and can cover everything. He's a blanket. And then at the end of the first round or in the second round, let's take the guy that is athletically different. Yeah, he's white, so what? Cooper DeJean. The all-around specialist, and put him in the slot. And what you're seeing is lockdown. Puka and Cooper, yeah, they had their moments, but they didn't get off. They didn't get the 17, they didn't get the 12 catches, 123 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like, they didn't get off. And then this defensive line started dominating against a team who their defensive line is pretty darn solid and young. Byron Young, Jared Verse, Braden Fisk. Like, it's good. But the Eagles are different. And Sirianni has those guys motivated. You know, just like Dan Campbell. And it's funny because, like, when you look at the dichotomy of these 4 coaches, it's very funny. A couple of them are former players, but it's not that. I look at Sirianni and Dan Campbell as rah-rah guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, motivational speeches, good messaging, have the guys motivated, riled up, you know, have a message to hang on to and follow. You look at Andy Reid and McDermott, they're X and O guys. Andy Reid is probably the best play schemer in the history of the NFL. And then Doug McDermott is one of the best defensive coaches in the NFL. And he runs his defense. So, you know, in my eyes, those are your 4. The Ravens are just out. They're just missing something. It's that defense, man. That pass defense is suspect. It's suspect. But I think those are your top 4. All right, we're going to talk about football a little bit later, including college, which we had a crazy weekend of upsets and shuffling of the playoff order. Big teams eliminated, including Bama. All right. So we're going to talk about Formula One, but before we get to that, we're going to talk about Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge. Last Thursday, when my pod went up, I knew that today I was going to have to talk about the MVPs in the MLB because I couldn't talk about it last Thursday because you got it in the morning. That means I recorded it Wednesday when the Cy Young came out. And I talked about the Cy Young and Tarek Schoolboy and Chris Sale. You guys have to understand what we are witnessing from these 2 guys. And the pool of talent that is in both leagues, but mostly the American League, for Aaron Judge to still win. Aaron Judge beat out for a unanimous MVP. A historic season by 23-year-old season by Bobby Witt. Leading the league in average. Leading the league in hits. Best shortstop in the game. He beat that and got a unanimous MVP with a 322 average, 58 bombs, 148 RBIs or 156, something like that. I have the tweet bookmarked with the stats. Because that was the actual race. Anybody who tells me there was a race in the National League, no, there wasn't. There wasn't a race in the National League. Okay? So he becomes the first Yankee to win the award unanimously since Mickey Mantle, 1956. I have to laugh at that. 1956, since a Yankee has won the MVP unanimously. Reggie Jackson and A-Rod and all the guys that have gone through there. That's special. That's real special. You know what I'm saying? Like, one thing is to win the MVP, and it's a second in the last 3 years. One thing is to win it. But another thing is to unanimously win it with a guy like Bobby Witt having the season that he had. But that's not even the most craziest part. The craziest part is that his own teammate was third in the MVP ballot. Juan Soto. He was third. Another historic season by Soto. And he was third. Now, I know you guys are going to say, oh, but what he did in the playoffs and everything. I get it. But this is a regular season award. Okay? And in the regular season, he was arguably the best baseball player in the world. The best hitter, for sure. The outfield, he's kind of iffy on, but at least he played it. He played center field. Didn't get injured. Played 100 and he posted a lot. Played like 157, 156. He got close to the 162. And he started off slow. He started off with like a 220 average in April. And then once it got to the second month of the season, he took off and he did not look back the rest of the season. And it was so easy. Once he's locked in, it doesn't matter what pitch you throw him. If it's in the zone, it's probably leaving. It's getting hit hard and far. But that's Aaron Judge, right? Remember Aaron Judge beat out Shohei Ohtani in 2022 for the MVP when Judge hit 63 home runs and beat Roger Maris's record. The clean record. We all know the actual record is Barry Bonds with 73. But the clean record, the American League record. And he hit 62. Shohei had an amazing season that year. I think he had 49 home runs, 3.21 ERA, over 10 wins. And he beat out Shohei. So what happens if Shohei goes to the other league? Oh, that's what happens. Untouchable. No, but he played DH. He didn't even pitch and everything. Who cares? Who cares? The guy that came in second, Francisco Lindor, he had almost 30 bombs less than him. 30. And he hit 300. Shohei did. Like, third MVP in 4 years. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Yes, he needs the 3 more years of service time to make it to eligible for the Hall of Fame. But if there is a player that if something happens and he can't get those 10 years, which I doubt, but he'll get it, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer in the smallest of circles. In the Babe Ruth circles, the Mickey Mantles, the Ted Williams, the Pete. Well, Pete's not in it, but you know that in that circle, Willie Mays, those few. You know, he's the first player since Frank Robinson as the only players to win both MVPs in the AL and the NL in his first season. Frank did it, years apart. This man did it in his first season with the Dodgers and not pitching. You got to understand this, guys. This guy has a career ERA of a 3.1, an 11.9 Ks per nine for a career. Some of the nastiest stuff, throws 100, has a nasty slider, nasty split, nasty curveball. Is an actual pitcher, is not a thrower, he's a pitcher. This man will get you off balance and make you look stupid and dominate. And yeah, he can go on the plate, bat 300 and hit 50 plus bombs. So this year he couldn't pitch, so what did he focus on? Hitting and running. Now, did anybody think that he was going 50-50? Hell no, it had never been done before. It had never been done before. We saw 40-40 and it was like, oh my God, 40-40. Only 6 guys had done it until this year. This man went 54-59 He could have had 55, 60. And then wins the World Series in the first year with no pitching. And you're telling me that you're going to take away a unanimous MVP from this guy because the DH has never won it and he didn't play no outfield to a guy who, I'm Puerto Rican, guys, and guess what? Shohei Ohtani deserves the unanimous MVP. And I love Francisco Lindor. But come on, man. Yeah, he kept the Mets afloat and everything. Bro, Shohei Ohtani, when Mookie and Freddie went down, was the offense. As a leadoff hitter, both Francisco and him were leadoff hitters, and they were moved there through later in the season because Shohei started as the 2-hitter and then moved to the 1 at the beginning of the season. And then Francisco went from 2 to 1 because they thought it would change something, and it did. But one thing is hitting, let me put it this way. One thing is hitting 265, 280, and hit 50 bombs. Okay, and steal 40 bags. Okay, 20, 40, 280, that's pretty good. Hitting 300? You're a 300 hitter, but you have the power of like Frank Thomas, of an Albert Pujols, of an Alex Rodriguez, of an Aaron Judge. And then you have the speed and the savvy of running the bases like a Ricky Henderson or a Ronald Acuna? Come on, man. I love Francisco Lindor. I love what he did for the Mets. But 280 and 26 home runs, just because you held your team afloat and took them to the playoffs, doesn't hold a candle to 54, 59 on 300 batting average, plus the highest WAR in the season. Don't give me that, oh, he's a DH, he doesn't play the field. Yeah, but he put up the production of somebody who's playing the field and a guy who is the best player in baseball. The best player in the world is Shohei Ohtani. There's a reason they gave him $700 million for 10 years. The reason is that. Because even with a Glass now down, Bobby Miller goes down, Gonsolin down, with all those pitching, Kershaw down, Dustin May, Gavin Stone, even with all those pitchers down, Walker Buehler just coming back, Yoshinobu Yamamoto his rookie year, Jack Flaherty coming off a trade. Even with all that going on, and the Ipe thing that happened at the beginning of the year with the gambling and all that, with all that going on, this guy took the Los Angeles Dodgers to the World Series championship. That cannot be understated. And next year, he's going to be better. Velez, how can he be better? He hit 54 and stole 59. He's going to be better because he's probably going to go after a Cy Young, which is the only piece of hardware and trophy that he has left to chase. Unless he wants to chase a NLCS MVP or a World Series MVP. The last thing he needs as an individual player, he has silver sluggers. He has, he doesn't need a gold glove as a pitcher, but he could get that if he wants that too. Silver sluggers, batting titles. He has all that. Home run titles, Hank Aaron awards, all that. MVPs. Now, the one thing left is to be crowned the best pitcher in your league. That's the Cy Young. And I think he could do it. I think he walks into spring training next year and he is the number one starter on the Dodgers rotation. Yes, better than Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Yes, better than Jack Flaherty. Yes, better than Glasnow. Yes, better than Gavin Stone, Bobby Miller, Gonsolin, whoever you want to put up there. Even if they get Roki Sasaki. He's number one. His combination of 100 mile per hour, nasty split. I mean, his split is disgusting. The average on his splitter for his career is like under 230. It's disgusting. His slider, disgusting. Curveball, stupid. And he challenges you. He challenged Mike Trout. He was down 3. He was down 2-1. What does he throw him? Down the middle, 100 mile per hour, try to hit it. Didn't happen. He swung over it. And then when he needs to pitch, how did he strike him out? Nasty slider in the same tunnel as the fastball. He had no choice but to swing. And that's the best hit, and that's the best player of this generation in Mike Trout. Before Shohei came in. So Shohei deserves it. Aaron Judge deserves it. I don't think we're going to see seasons like this. You're talking about Judge is one of the only 3 or 4 guys in MLB history to have multiple 50 home run seasons in 3 or more seasons. Shohei's going to join that list, I believe, maybe next year. I think he hits 50. I think he could still hit 50 bombs because he's that locked in at the plate. I don't think he'll run as much just because of the shoulder injury and everything like that. I think he's going to focus on pitching, which he should. And can he go under a 3 ERA next year and strike out 200? Yeah. Win 15 games? Yeah. Unanimous Cy Young? Yeah. No question in my mind. And he could do it again the year later. So, I think it's well deserved for both of them, and I congratulate both of them on great seasons. Okay? All right, let's get to the Formula One race. Las Vegas, wonderful race. We knew it was going to be good. We had a lot of overstakes last year, and the first time they went there since 86, 7, around there. But it was a different track, of course. It was a different part of the strip. So we got a little bit of surprise, and they don't even know why they were fast. Mercedes still doesn't know why they were so good at Las Vegas. Even though it's a pretty easy answer. Their car is well equipped for low downforce tracks. What does that mean? The less slow corners that you have and more straightaways that you have, the less downforce you're going to run on the car. So the wing is not as big. It's thinner. So the air could pass freer. You don't have as much drag on the car. And that accentuates in the design of the Mercedes. Now, I'm not going to lie. Both George Russell and Lewis Hamilton were on rails, especially during the race. And Lewis could have won this race if he just would have, if he would have put a lap down like his Q2 lap, he would have been in the top 3. But he just couldn't get it down. The track was so slick. It was so green. They qualified at 12:30 in the morning with 12 degrees out. What heat are you going to put into tires and brakes in 12 degrees? On pavement, not even on concrete, on pavement. This is not racing. This is not racing surface. This is a street circuit down the strip of Las Vegas. First of all, before we get into the race, I want to congratulate Max Verstappen. One of the true greats of this sport. Listen, I know that I've hated on him and been critical of how he acts and how he celebrates wins and everything like that. But at the end of the day, you can't take away the respect of a guy who started at 17 years old and at 27, he's already an all-time great. He's up there with Prost. He's up there with Senna. He's up there with Schumacher. He's up there with Lewis. He's up there with Vettel. Fangio. Those are the only guys, besides Senna, Vettel, Lewis, Fangio, him, and Schumacher. Only guys to win 4 straight championships in the history of Formula One. Red Bull does it a second time. They did it with Vettel, 2010 to 2014. Now they do it with Max. I think next year is going to be way tougher. I think everybody caught up and everybody's going to it's going to be a real fight next year. Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren, Red Bull. It's going to be a real fight. From round 1 all the way to round 25. It's going to be a real championship fight, like the Damien Hill versus Nigel Mansell, Schumacher versus Senna, like that type of fight. Prost versus Senna, that type of fight. Back and forth and who's leading, and you need to watch every race because you don't know what's going to happen, and crashes mean so much more. Especially with Adrian Newey leaving Red Bull. That's going to really even the playing field design-wise. So shout out to Max. 2021 is still tough on me because that was Lewis's 8th championship taken away from him on the last lap of the season. So it's still going to hurt as a Lewis fan. 2022, absolute domination. 2023, absolute domination of the likes we've never seen. 19 wins. I mean, won the championship in Las Vegas, but was so far ahead that it didn't even really matter. But this championship shows that he is a complete driver. Because he won the first 5 races. But then it really got struggling, and they didn't have good qualifying, and stuff happened in races, and he could hit podiums, but he couldn't win. And it looked like McLaren was catching up, and they finally caught up, and then they passed them. And then Ferrari caught up. But through it all, he got podiums. He kept being in the lead. He got wins when he needed to. And ultimately, he finished 1 position ahead of Lando in Las Vegas to clinch his 4th straight championship. I think from now on, it's going to be tough to win another one. 1, you have 1 season left of these regulations and this car. And 2, everybody has caught up, and it's going to be an actual fight. It's going to come down to driver, not machine. Because I think they're going to be pretty evenly matched. But we'll see when they come into winter testing. And into preseason testing. Okay. As for the race, super exciting. Like I said, Lewis started 10th. He finished 2nd. And was chasing down Russell, but the hards kind of let go on him because he pushed so hard to cut down the 10 seconds after Russell hit the pits. This race was very interesting on 2 parts. I didn't expect Mercedes to be that strong. Russell was never seen in the broadcast because he was up front the whole race from corner 1. The race mostly centered around Verstappen, Norris, and Lewis Hamilton, and some of the Ferrari boys. Ferrari had a good car, but they just couldn't match the Mercedes. And the thing about this race, there wasn't tire degradation. There was tire graining, 2 different things. Degradation is when the tire actually loses rubber and becomes ineffective. And you start seeing the ripples coming off of the tire when they're coming across a corner when they're used and you need to get them off. Graining is the surface tearing into the tire. Because it's a green surface. There's not rubber laid down. So it's literally a bare surface for that tire. Now, tires are very delicate, and they ran the softest. Everybody from 1 to 13 or 14 ran mediums. The rest ran hards at the beginning of the race. And it was very evident from the beginning, from the first few laps that, these guys thought this was going to be a 1-stop race. Nah. This is going to be a 2-stop race. It's more variables. You have to get 2 stops correct. You can't get penalized. Okay? Because of the tire graining. Some cars like Mercedes were great at maintaining brake and tire temperature, which means you can go hard and be aggressive without destroying your tire. Other people, like your McLarens and to some extent the Red Bull and Ferrari, they ran through it a little quicker. They started losing. And once they went, you started losing time quick. It wasn't a thing like, we can hold on to these. Nah. You had to get them off. And for Russell to build such a big lead, we're talking about he had, I want to say, a 12-second lead over Max in second. And Max just couldn't cut into it. Max stayed above Norris the whole race, except a little period when Norris hadn't pit yet for his second pit stop. And Max was right behind them. But George dominated this race. What I want to talk about is Lewis's grit and fight as the greatest of all time. He starts 10th, knowing he has a good car, and is disappointed in his qualifying, knowing that he would have won the race if he just would have put a decent qualifying effort into the top 3. He knows that. But instead of, all right, I'm starting 10th, let's see what we can do. No, he goes after it. After it. Gets past everybody, boom, boom, gets to like 4th or 5th. Pit stops start coming around, boom, battles back. And then comes to the last 15 laps of the race and absolutely tries to chase down his teammate for the win. And when I mean chase down, and this is after passing Leclerc, after passing Sainz, after passing Verstappen. And he, on the hards, goes on a 15-minute absolute binge of fast lap. Every fast lap, 3/10, fast lap, 4/10, fast lap, 7/10, and just cutting into that lead. Got it to 4.8 seconds. And what was Russell doing? Russell was doing the Verstappen. When you have such a far ahead lead, you could keep pace without really damaging and really exerting energy on your tires. So what happens? As Lewis is chasing him down and using all his tires, Russell has enough tire left to combat him, and that's exactly what happens. When he got to 4.8, he got a little bit more aggressive, and he started pulling away a little bit again. And Lewis had already lost his. He made one mistake on the S's in the chicane, and he went off track, lost 7/10, and from there the tires were just not in his favor no more, and he got second. And then Carlos Sainz got third, and he passed Leclerc to get that third place. And Norris finishes, and Verstappen goes from 3rd to 5th. But it doesn't matter because Verstappen, all he knew was he had to be up in front of Norris. And boy, was he ever. He was 10 seconds above a Norris when he was 5th. And Norris couldn't do nothing about it. Because this championship was lost in Brazil. Brazil was the chance for McLaren to really put the pressure on Red Bull and Max, and they couldn't do it. And Max went from 17th to win that race and basically ended the championship. We go to Qatar next. Very interesting track, very dusty, hot, one of the hottest tracks in the world. That's why they race at night, but it's still hot in the hundreds. And it's going to be very interesting. I don't know if Max is going to try to go. I mean, he's going to try to go for wins. I don't know if he has the car to. And then I think McLaren's going to be really pissed off and go for wins. And let's see what happens with Mercedes finding this new speed. Maybe it's just this track. But if it carries on, then George is looking. And George said after the race, Max is going to have an actual fight on his hands next year. He's saying that he's going to go fight Max for the championship. And then Verstappen told Lando, hey, you're going to get one. Just be patient, pertaining to a championship. So, in my estimation, I think all of them are underestimating Lewis Hamilton. And the reason I say that is not because maybe Adrian Newey goes to Ferrari, but I'm thinking that Lewis is going to Ferrari to try to fulfill his ultimate dream, which is win a championship in the same team and colors that his idol, Michael Schumacher, did. In the Scuderia, in the oldest team, in the winningest team, in the team that put Formula One on the map all those years ago. And there's no question in my mind that when Lewis arrives at Ferrari, he is the number one driver. Charles Leclerc will become that Valtteri Bottas, that become that Nico Rosberg, not in 2016, will become, that George Russell the first couple of years. now he's clearly the number one. But I think Lewis Hamilton's coming with a mission. And this race should have told you something. Toto Wolff, the team principal for Mercedes, after the Brazilian Grand Prix, he said, "Oh, drivers have a shelf life." And I think Lewis took that personal. And it wasn't like a shot, but it was kind of like, "Oh, you're going out. We're focusing on George. You haven't won since Silverstone. I believe it was Silverstone that he won." But at the same time, we know that you got it in you. Because Toto has been very like that with Lewis before. Like sometimes he tries to fire him up by saying something in the media. Lewis kind of clapped back. He kind of said, "Oh, I'm going to show you that I'm still probably the best in the world." And he did. Because if he would have qualified even third, he would have won that race outright. The speed that he was going on the hard tires, nobody could match. He was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tenths a lap faster than Russell when he was leading. Now, I think it would have been a good fight, but I think Lewis just has too much racecraft experience and just too good of a driver to let that type of advantage not get taken advantage of. So it was a great race. Las Vegas is always a great venue. Little late. We're talking about, green lights out at 12:30 a.m. But a great race, super entertaining, and a great backdrop to a championship. And Formula One has been great this year. All right. Now, let's go to college football. Oh, boy. So there were teams that if all they had to do was win out. That's all they had to do was win out. And they were in the playoffs. And for those teams, that did not happen. And we're going to go through them. Starting with, there was teams that took care of business. Ohio State, 38-15 against Indiana. Although it was closer than you think. Caleb Downs took a 79-yard punt return, and they fumbled a kick, and that was basically it. Because the offenses were kind of moving, and the defenses were playing, but that was it. The special teams is what kind of screwed Indiana. Miami beat Wake Forest 42-14, exactly what they needed to do. Cam Ward played great. Damian Martinez ran the ball good. Their defense played well. And they keep themselves right there as a top 4 team because they're the tops of the ACC. So they're still in the playoffs. Florida beats Ole Miss and knocks Ole Miss out. 24-17. Finally, now I can talk about UF's future. DJ Lagway can possibly be the next great UF quarterback. Great deep ball. I think he has the right things in between the ears, and he's only going to get better in the offseason. He's a freshman now. He comes back as a sophomore, and I think Billy Napier can recruit. With this guy at the helm, he can recruit some receivers and really, go after it next year. You have to match up against Texas and Bama, Ole Miss, Georgia, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, because they're coming too. But I think we are on a good platform to be good next year. We've beat 2 good teams, LSU and Ole Miss, back-to-back weeks, ranked teams, and knocked them out of the playoffs. We played boogeyman, basically. Jackson Dart threw 2 picks in 2 separate drives to try to win the game. He threw 2 picks, and game was over. SMU beats Virginia and keeps their bid in. It's going to be SMU in the ACC championship game. Now, with SMU losing that game, I think that they still get in as an at-large bid, but I'm not sure. Illinois beats Rutgers 38-31, but they're not in it. Georgia keeps their eligibility in 59-21 versus UMass. Needed to do that facing Auburn next week in order to try to stay in. Okay? Tennessee beats UTEP 56-0, and they're on the fringes. Kentucky gets beat by Texas, but Quinn Ewers gets hurt. We're going to see how that ankle is. So basically, the SEC championship is Texas, Bama. Texas, Georgia at this moment in time. I believe it's the SEC championship. Because Ole Miss lost, Georgia won. I think right now the SEC championship is Texas and Georgia. Before this weekend, it was Texas and Texas A&M because of their conference records. Penn State beats Minnesota by 1, so they're most likely gonna be in as an at-large bid because the Big Ten championship, as it stands, is Oregon, Ohio State, a rematch of that wonderful game we got earlier in the season in Eugene. Okay, then you got BYU losing to Arizona State. Now BYU's out. Then you got Kansas beating Colorado 37-21. And in this game, I mean, Travis Hunter did everything, but they could not stop the run. Devin Neal ran roughshod over this Colorado defense that had been holding people to pretty good numbers overall over the winning streak. But now Colorado has to regroup and has to hope some things fall their way in order to make it. They controlled their destiny until this loss. And one thing about Shedeur, yes, he's going to be the number one quarterback taken, but don't think this is going to be like a Joe Burrow, a Mahomes, a Josh Allen. Not that they, Josh Allen and especially Mahomes, they came out as projects kind of out of the draft, but this is not a Joe Burrow. This is not a Peyton Manning. This is a mix of like Brady, but he needs some work, knowing that, hey, you're not fast enough to run, really. You have mobility, but you don't got your dad's speed. And then also taking what's there. Trusting his protection and taking what's there. But I think he's still going to be the number one quarterback chosen. Travis Hunter, this thing is done. This Heisman thing, this shit's done. Shedeur went 23 for 29, so still efficient. 266, 3 touchdowns. QBR of 93.2. He rushed the ball for 26 yards. But Travis went 8 catches for 125, 2 touchdowns, and a long of 51. Travis is just different. And Colorado's going to be good in the coming years because they got Juju Underwood to, sign with them. Or not Underwood. Juju Watkins. The second recruit in the class that reclassified to be a quarterback, and Shedeur has the picture of giving him the keys, Juju. But Colorado now needs some help. Clemson beats the Citadel 51-14. Need to do that. South Carolina beats Wofford 56-12. Missouri beats Mississippi State 31-20. Army loses against Notre Dame 49-14. That means Notre Dame still has a shot as an independent to have an large bid at the playoffs. Boise State beats Wyoming 17-13, even though Genty goes for 169 and a touchdown. He's past 2,000 yards, but he's still far away from Barry. Now, can he get there? He has to do a Herculean effort in the next 2 games to get there. We're talking about, I think he has to average 180, almost 200 a game to get to Barry. But he's going to be taking top 10, I think, overall. And then you have Bama losing to Oklahoma and Jackson Arnold 24-3. That eliminates Alabama. Kalen DeBoer, good try in your first season as Alabama head coach, but you're not going to the dance. You had a shot. But Oklahoma, unranked, beats you 24-3. That defense is serious, and Jalen Monroe had mistakes. And, Jackson Arnold beat you. And it wasn't even crazy. But you went 11 for 26, 164, Jalen. You ran the ball for 70 yards on 30 carries, guys. That's not going to cut it. Jackson Arnold went 9 for 11, 68 yards, and they whooped you 24-3. Because they ran the ball 49 times for 260 yards. For 260 yards against a Bama defense. That's embarrassing. And then Texas A&M having their own destiny, now that Bama lost, having their own destiny, they lose to Auburn in quadruple overtime. And they only lost because their running back dropped the touchdown, the 2-point conversion to send it to a fifth overtime. And Auburn fought, man. Auburn fought. It was a thriller. I saw this game. It was incredible to watch. Marcel Reed, that young kid, he played his balls off. 297 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, a pick. Amari Daniels ran the ball well. He's the one that dropped the ball. Noah Thomas caught the ball well, 5 for 124, 2 touchdowns. But Auburn with Peyton Thorne, this kid, 19 of 31, 301, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Jarquez Hunter, another running back we're going to see in the draft. 28 for 130, 3 touchdowns. They were on his back. Cam Coleman, another great freshman receiver. 7 for 128, 2 touchdowns. Keandre Lambert-Smith, another great receiver. Two receptions for 104. Auburn beats Texas A&M. So they're out of the SEC championship race. So it's Texas. Right now it's Texas versus, I just said it, Texas versus Georgia. Yeah, Texas, Georgia in the SEC championship. I think that's dope. Army's undefeated season ends with Notre Dame winning. Iowa State beats Utah 31-28. And UNLV beats San Jose State 27-16. The shakeups are nasty, guys. The shakeups are crazy. So, rankings as they stand. Oregon, only undefeated team left. Number 1. Ohio State, number 2. Texas, number 3. Penn State, 4. Notre Dame, 5. Georgia, number 6. Tennessee, 7. Miami State's at 8. SMU, 9. Indiana drops to 10 from 5. Boise State at 11. Clemson at 12. Bama, 13. Arizona State, 14. Ole Miss, 15. SC, South Carolina, 16. Iowa State, 17. Tulane, 18. BYU, 19. Texas A&M, 20. UNLV, Illinois, Colorado, 23. Mizzou, 24. And 25 Army. It's looking interesting, guys. It's looking very interesting for the playoffs. All right, let's get to the games. Starting off with Steelers-Browns. I told you guys. Why did I pick them? I picked the Steelers. I was like, they are a better team. They're a better team. But what happens? Snow globe. Starts off kind of normal and everything, but immediately second quarter, third quarter, that shit drops into a snow globe. Whiteout. And the same reason I've been saying to you guys why the Steelers cannot be Super Bowl contenders is the same reason why they lost. They could not run the ball, and they could not cash in for touchdowns in the red zone. I told you. I've been telling you this. That's why it was such an embarrassment for Baltimore to lose, because all they had to do was run the ball. It was embarrassing that you let a team like that beat you. So it's a snow globe in Cleveland. It wins on a game-winning 2-minute drive with Nick Chubb scoring the game-winning TD. How about that irony? In the same stadium that he tore his PCL for the second time, destroyed his knee, and we were thinking, can he get back to what he was? He scores the game-winning touchdown against the same team. So 24-19. So what happened in this game? Why did they lose? Very simple. Russell Wilson was 21 for 28. Okay, 270. All right. But 1 touchdown. 4 sacks for 22 yards, including 3 by Myles Garrett against TJ Watt. You know, showing like, hey, I won DPOY last year and I deserved it. You know, people might be talking about you because you have the most sacks in the years that we've been in and everything like that, but I'm still that dude. A rating of 116.7, a QBR of 73.3. Jalen Warren, 11 for 45. Najee Harris, 16 for 41. 2.6 yards a carry. That is garbage. Garbage mustache. Boo-boo kashu. That is shit for a guy who got drafted as high as you out of Alabama. You set some of the records at Alabama beating Derrick Henry shit, and you cannot average 3 yards a carry? Your backup is better than you. I've been saying it. Start Jalen Warren. You're going to have more success. He's more explosive. He's less concrete feet. Keep giving it to Najee. It's the same thing as the Ezekiel Elliott effect. Justin Fields ran for 26 yards. You averaged 3.5 yards a carry as a team. On 34 carries, 120 yards. 34 carries to 29 passes. Pretty good balance. Calvin Austin went 3 catches for 78 yards and a touchdown on 3 targets. Pat Freiermuth, 4 for 59 on 4 targets. George Pickens, the so-called super specimen, we're going to get him and everything. Once you put Denzel Ward in front of him, an all-pro corner, let's see what happens in a snowstorm. Okay? 4 for 48 on 7 targets. Van Jefferson, 2 for 39 on 2 targets. You had a fumble lost by Russell. And a recovery of a fumble as well. Deshaun Elliott recovered a fumble. Dante Jackson recovered a fumble. So what did the defense do? 1 sack. 1 sack by Nick Herbig. Not even TJ Watt, Nick Herbig. TJ had a TFL. You know? Dante Jackson got a pick. That's about it. That's your offense. In a snow globe where you should have dominated against a team whose offense is not up to par with the people you got, and they are in quarterback hell and turmoil and everything. 2-8, season's done, and they come and beat you. So what did the Browns do? Jameis Winston, 18 for 27, 219. Okay. No touchdowns, a pick. Okay. 1 sack, 0 yards. QBR of 80. A rating of 76. All right, nothing crazy. What they rushed for? 20 carries, 59 yards, 3.3 yards a carry. 2 touchdowns for Nick Chubb. 27 carries for 85 yards, 3.1 yards a carry. Wait a minute. Wait, what? They average less yards than you rushing? And you still lost? So what happened receiving-wise? Judy, 6 for 85 on 6 targets. Okay. Jordan Akins, 3 for 38 on 4 targets. Blake Whiteheart, 1 catch for 29 yards on 1 target. Jameis Winston lost a fumble. Cedric Tillman lost a fumble. Jordan Akins recovered it, and Winston Reed recovered it. So what about their defense? 4 sacks, 11 TFLs. Had a sack by Jordan Hicks and 3 sacks by Myles Garrett. So he just dominated that line. I told you that offensive line was suspect. I told you. Still suspect. Jerome Ford, they had no interceptions. Like, so you look at this box score and you're like, wait, what? How? Because you guys cannot finish in the red zone. You cannot. It's so unfortunate for you guys. Look, first quarter, it was 0-0 in the first quarter. Second quarter, Boswell, 48-yarder. Nick Chubb, touchdown, 7-3. 7-10, Dustin Hopkins hits a 34-yarder. And end of the half. Chris Boswell, 28-yarder in the third quarter. No more scoring, 10-6. Jameis Winston, 18-6 on a 2-yard run by Jameis Winston, and Njoku gets the pass for the 2-point conversion, 18-6. Jaylen Warren runs in, 13-18. Calvin Austin, 19-18. 2-point conversion failed. Nick Chubb, with 57 seconds left, runs it in, 19-24. That is embarrassing that you cannot score in the red zone. And that's going to come back to bite you in the playoffs. Against Kansas City, against Baltimore, against the Bills, against the Texans, even though they're looking shaky right now. Against the Chargers, against, the Broncos, that's going to come back to bite you. The fact that you cannot score in the red zone. Okay? All right, so Buccaneers, Giants. Exactly what I expected. 30-7. Buccaneers railed them. Tommy DeVito couldn't do nothing. Baker did his shit. Baker went 24 for 30, 294. No sacks, 86.7 QBR, 107.5 rating. Bucky Irving went 12 for 87 and a touchdown. Rachaad White went 12 for 37. They ran the ball 32 times for 156 yards, averaging 4.9 yards a carry against a good D-line of the Giants. Their balance was great, 30-32 pass and run. Mike Evans came back 5 for 68 on 6 targets. Bucky Irving went 6 for 64 on 6 targets. He went over 100 yards from scrimmage. Thank you for my fantasy team. Cade Otton went 1 for 30. Baker fumbled twice, lost 1, recovered the other. Sean Tucker fumbled. Bucky Irving fumbled. Cody Mock recovered. And Khaled Kensi recovered 1. Their defense, 4 sacks. Antoine Winfield with 1 on a blitz. Anthony Nelson with 1. Vita Vea with 1. Kalea Kansi with 1. No picks. But they still dominated 30-7. So what happened to the Giants? The Giants? Well, I'll tell you. 21 for 31. 189 for Tommy DeVito. Tommy Cutlets. 4 sacks for 23 yards. A QBR of 14.8. Abysmal. 83.9 rating. Tyrone Tracy couldn't run nothing. 9 carries, 42 yards. They ran the ball 20 times for 76 yards. They passed the ball 32 times, so a 12 difference in play calling. Malik Neighbors, 6 for 64 on 9 targets. And they started targeting him in the second half. This is why I say the Giants franchise is a poverty franchise that doesn't know what they're doing. How do you draft a guy number 4 overall and you don't throw him the ball? You guys are absolutely just inept in business decisions, play calling. I feel bad for Daboll because he doesn't have a quarterback that he can say, yo, run this play. You don't have that. He had it in Josh Allen, but he doesn't have it in New York. So maybe they get Shador. Maybe they get Cam Ward. Maybe they get Quinn Ewers. Is it going to be better? We hope so. We hope so. But that's not a guarantee. Is he safe? Who knows at this point? Then you have Wandale, 547 on 5 targets. Those are your 2 best targets. They need 10 targets each. They both don't get to 10. Theo Johnson, the rookie, goes 3 for 39. Tyrone Tracy fumbles and loses one. Malik Neighbor fumbles, and DJ Davidson recovers. Then their defense, 0 sacks. Good offensive line for Tampa Bay. 0 sacks. Having Okereke, having Raheem Nunez-Roches, Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, having Kayvon Thibodeau back. He came back this week. Nothing. No interceptions. Nothing. Ass beating at your house. That's what you get. When you're a poverty franchise that don't know how to value your players, an OBJ, an Eli Manning, a Saquon Barkley, when you don't know how to value what you got, an Xavier McKinney, this shit happens to you. You get embarrassed at home because you don't prepare for the dark times. You think it's all sunny. Oh, let's pay Daniel Jones $40 million. We'll be good. Let's walk away our second overall pick. When you backstab players like OBJ, sending them to Cleveland when you could have sent them to a better situation. This is what happens. This is called football karma. And it's going to keep happening to you guys, to both of you guys, the Jets and the Giants, because you guys are horribly run from the inside, from top down, horribly run. You guys need to fire everybody. Except Daboll. I like Daboll. But man, it's bad. Then we go to Chiefs-Panthers, and Chiefs squeak it out, 30-27. Squeak it out. Bryce Young played well. We're starting to see Bryce Young get comfortable in an NFL offense. It's still only his second year, guys. It takes time for the game to slow down. He made some good throws. Brought his team to tie it. Late. This game was tight. 7-0. Noah Gray with a 35-yard touchdown. Pinheiro with a field goal, 7-3. Spencer Schrader with a field goal, 10-3. End of the first. Second, Eddie Pinheiro field goal, 10-6. Schrader field goal, 13-6. Noah Gray touchdown, 11 yards, 20-6. Eddie Pinheiro field goal, 20-9. Only 11-point game for a team that was 2-8. In the third quarter, David Moore, one yard pass, 20-16. DeAndre Hopkins, 3-yard pass, 27-16. Eddie Pinheiro, field goal, 27-19 in the fourth. Chuba Hubbard runs it in, ties it, and runs it for the 2-point conversion, 27-27. And you gave Mahomes a minute 46 to take it all the way down the field with a Spencer Schrader 31-yard field goal off a Patrick Mahomes Super Bowl-esque type of run. That's basically, he went off the left side to get the first down, and he saw the blocking. He went in between the blockers and ran it down into deep Panthers territory, kicked the field goal, 10-1. But if we look at the box score, pretty interesting. Pacheco didn't go this game. I think he's going next game for sure. But Patrick went 27 for 37 on 269. 3 touchdowns, no picks. 5 sacks for 43 yards. 63.6 QBR. A 120.2 rating. Kareem Hunt went 16 for 68. Patrick went 5 for 60 on the ground and a long of 33, which is the run I just referenced. They passed the ball 37 times. They ran the ball 26 times. A little bit different. They ran the ball 26 for 165, 6.3 yards a carry. Not on all volume, but enough to keep them honest. Noah Gray went 4 for 66 on 4 targets and 2 touchdowns. Travis Kelce went 6 for 62 on 8 targets. Xavier Worthy went 4 for 46 on 6 targets. They're starting to get him involved a little bit more. DeAndre went 5 for 35 on 6 targets and a touchdown. Patrick Mahomes fumbled, but they recovered it back. Their defense, 2 sacks. Half by Trent McDuffie, half by Nick Bolton, and 1 by Mike Dana. No picks. Okay. So I'm guessing the Panthers did well, right? Bryce Young, 21 for 35, 263, a touchdown, no picks. That's something good for Bryce Young, no picks. 2 for 14 on sacks. QBR 46.4, a rating of 92.9. Chuba Hubbard went 16 for 58 in the touchdown. They ran the ball 21 times for 85 yards, an average of 4 yards a carry. Passed the ball 35 times. So that 14 disparity, that's a big disparity there. David Moore, this new veteran unsung hero that he's throwing to, because I don't know why he doesn't throw to Xavier Leggett or Adam Thielen more. David Moore went 6 for 81 and a touchdown on 10 targets. He's really targeting them. Adam Thielen went 3 for 57 on 4 targets. Xavier Leggett went 4 for 56 on 6 targets. And Jatavion Sanders, the rookie, went 3 for 49 on 3 targets and got hurt. He's okay. He avoided serious injury, but he landed on his head, directly on his head with his full weight on his neck, and he had to be carted off and with a stabilized neck. Bryce Young fumbled, but Iko Ekwonu recovered it. And the defense got 5 sacks because the Kansas City weakness is those tackles. Jawan Taylor and Wanya Smith. Those are your weak links because Humphreys, Tooney, and Trey Smith, that's where they run the ball, and that's where their protection is at. That's their stalwart on the front line. That's why they keep winning, because of those 3 dudes. So you got a sack by Josie Jewell, a sack by J.C. Horn on a blitz. DJ Wanham got a sack. Jadeveon Clowney got a sack and a half. Deshaun Williams got a half a sack. 5 sacks, but no picks. So even though you push him to the brink situationally, if you give Patrick enough time, give him a minute 46 with two timeouts, he's going to burn you. So shout out to KC. 10-1. Still number 1 of the AFC. Commanders get beat by the Cowboys in an absolute... I mean, I can't even call it a stunner. This fourth quarter was insane. This game, before the fourth quarter, it was Austin Seibert, 41-yard field goal, 3-0 in the first. In the second quarter was a Brandon Aubrey field goal, 3-3. In the third, it was a Jaden Daniels 17-yard run, 3-9. They missed the PAT, would become important later. And Jalen Tolbert catches a ball from Cooper Rush, 10-9, because they hit the extra point. Fourth quarter, 10-9. Fourth quarter, Brandon Aubrey field goal at the 8-11 mark, 13-9. Luke Schoonmaker, 22-yard pass from Cooper Rush, 20-9. Zach Ertz, pass from Jaden Daniels, 20-17. Kavontae Turpin, 99-yard kickoff return, 27-17. And this kickoff return, the ball, he muffed it. It went through his legs. He picked it up at the 1, hit a spin move, basically broke the ankles of the 2 guys that were chasing him. And after that, he hit the Jets and he was gone. Him and Tyreek look like the 2 speediest guys in the NFL. Maybe Saquon. They just look different. Jameer's up there too. Gibbs. They just look different when they take off. You know, when they hit that gear, they look different. You know, I'm sure Xavier Worthy, if he was allowed to hit like a 75-yard screen or something like that, or a long touchdown, he would look the same. But their speed is different. So Kavontae Turpin takes it back, 27-17, 2 minutes and 49 seconds left. Austin Seibert field goal, 27-20. And then Terry McLaurin with 21 seconds left. Terry McLaurin catches an 86-yard pass from Jaden Daniels. They thought that they were going for the Hail Mary. He ran like a comeback, not really a comeback, but he ran like 30, 40 yards downfield, found a soft spot. Jaden hit him with it, and he cut up field and was gone. Ran past every angle. Showed the 4.3 speed from the combine. But what happens next? Bobbled snap on the extra point, and you miss the extra point, 27-26. with 21 seconds left. You could have tied it, and you will certainly go to overtime. At home, to go to 8-4 and still be in line with the Eagles before their Sunday night matchup. But no. Austin Seibert misses the extra point. You go for the onside kick, and Juan J. Thomas picks the onside kicks and take it 43 yards to the house off the bounce. 34-26, game over. The margins are so slim. But this game was lost in the first, second, and third quarter because they could not score. Either team. They could not take advantage. Could not sustain drives. Eventually, it's going to bite you. If I was Dan Quinn, would I have gone for 2 in the win? Yeah, but you don't think that your guy is going to your holder's going to bobble the snap and then Austin Seibert's going to yank it on the PAT. So I understand the decision. And you're at home, which you usually take the tie. So now Dallas is 4-7. They destroy their draft position. Now they're going to be looking at a skill position player. They were in line, I think, for Ashton Genty. They might still be, depending on what teams are up there right now. If you look at the Giants, Raiders, Browns, Jaguars, Panthers to some extent. The Titans. If you look at those teams, it depends on Patriots. It depends on what they need. But Ashton Genty might be there. Now, do they take that? I don't know. So Cooper Rush was 24 for 32 on 247, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 1 sack for 6 yards, a QBR of 48, a rating of 117.6. Rico Dowdle goes for 19 and 86 yards. They run the ball 28 times for 91 yards, averaging 3.3 yards a carry, 28 to 32 balance on run and pass. CeeDee Lamb goes for 10 catches for 67 yards on 12 targets. Schoonmaker was 3 for 55 on 4 targets and a touchdown. Jalen Brooks went 1 for 41 on 3 targets. Brevin Spanford, 2 for 24 on 2 targets. Jalen Tolbert, 2 for 22 and a touchdown on 4 targets. Rico Dowdle fumbles, loses it. Cooper Rush fumbles, recovers it. Cooper Beebe fumbles. Ezekiel Elliott recovers. And Eric Kendrick recovers a fumble. They got 4 sacks from the defense. 2 by Micah, just basically dominated when he wanted to. Demarvion Overshown got 1 as well. DeMarvion, excuse me. And one more, Josh Butler. He got 1 as well on a blitz. You got Chauncey Golston with an interception. And then Israel Mukwamu on an interception. And Cavante Turpin with 4 kick returns for 179 yards and a long of 99 with a touchdown. Unfortunately. Yeah, man. It was that was tough. That was a tough loss for the Washington Commanders there. And puts them in a very vulnerable spot in the playoff race. As for the Commanders, Jaden Daniels went 25 for 38, 275. 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 4 sacks, 8 yards, 62.2 QBR, 82.7 rating. Jaden Daniels ran 7 for 74 and a touchdown. Jerry McNichols ran 3 for 22. They ran the ball 25 times for 145 yards, 5.8 yards a carry. Threw the ball 38 times, so the disparity was 13. Brian Robinson Jr. got hurt and came back, but he went 5 for 13. Terry McLaurin went 5 for 102, but the most of that was the 86-yarder touchdown on 6 targets, so they couldn't find him. Makes sense. Trayvon Diggs and Deron Bland was back, so it makes sense that they kind of had him covered. Noah Brown was 6 of 61 on 10 targets. Zach Ertz was 6 of 37 in a touchdown on 8 targets. De'Ami Brown 2 for 22 on 2 targets. Josh Bates fumbled and lost it. Eckler fumbled. Terry McLaurin recovered it. And Bobby Wagner recovered it. Their defense got 1 sack. They're on pain. So the Dallas Cowboys offensive line held up. They got no picks, and that was the difference in the game. That was the difference. The picks, the turnovers, and then missed opportunities in the kicking game. All right, Dolphins, Patriots. I knew the Dolphins were going to win. We were at home, 34-15. That score is really not indicative of what the game was because this score was 34 to. This was 31-0 in the third quarter. 31-0. Jonnu Smith becoming a big part. 7-0. Devon Achane 14-0. Devon Achane again 14-0. Those were 2 passes from two past receiving touchdowns by Devon Achane. Jason Saunders field goal 24-0 at half. Then Jalen Waddle catches a 23-yarder from Tua 31-0. And then Austin Hooper catches a touchdown from Drake May. And then Christian Gonzalez returns a fumble recovery when Skylar Thompson is in to make it 15-31. And Jason Saunders hits a field goal with 3:33 left to basically end the game. The box score, Drake May went 22 for 37, 222, a touchdown and a pick, 4 sacks, 39 yards, 45.3 QBR, a 74.4 rating. Antonio Gibson went 6 for 31. They ran the ball 21 times for 86 yards, a 4-yard average. Threw the ball 37 times, so a big discrepancy, 16 in play call discrepancy. Pop Douglas went 5 for 62 on 7 targets. Austin Hooper went 4 for 59 and a touchdown on 4 targets. Hunter Henry went 5 for 44 on 8 targets. Kendrick Bourne went 3 for 30 on 5 targets. Jalen Polk still not getting them involved. I don't know what's happening there. Drake May lost a fumble. Christian Gonzalez recovered one and took it to the house. Their defense gave them 2 sacks. Brendan Schooler and Christian Barmore back from the blood clots. That was it. They really had they had nothing to do. Nothing. Then Tua went 29 for 40, 317, 4 touchdowns, no picks, 2 sacks, 9 yards, 59.3 QBR, a 128.9 rating. Devon Achane went 10 for 32. Jalen Wright went 7 for 28. Raheem went 2 for 5. We ran the ball 24 times for 65 yards, averaging 2.7 yards a carry. That's not going to get it done. But, we passed the ball 40 times to 24, so another 16 play discrepancy in play type. Jalen Waddle went 8 for 144. Finally, we give him 9 targets and a touchdown. That's what I'm looking for. Jonnu Smith went 9 for 87. Jonnu Smith on 11 targets and a touchdown. And Tyreek Hill went 5 for 48 on 6 targets. So I hope Tyreek Hill just wants to win. Because if he wants targets, Tua's clearly not finding them because they're scheming against him a lot, especially the Patriots, of course. Devon Achane went 3 for 24, 2 touchdowns on 4 targets. Jalen Wright fumbled and lost it. Jordan Brooks recovered 1. We got 4 sacks from the defense, 1.5 by Chop Robinson. He's coming into his own, the rookie out of Penn State. Zach Sealer got 1. Jalen Ramsey got 1 on a blitz. And Emmanuel Ogba got half of 1. Tyler Dotson got a pick. And, we kind of just dominated this game. We're 5-6, won 3 in a row. We feel good about ourselves. Now we go to Lambeau next week against the Packers in a game that's going to be snowing, 32 degrees. Tua said he wants to prove the doubters wrong. There's your chance. All right, now comes the embarrassment. Texans lose at home, 32-27. This fourth quarter was crazy as well. Kaimi Fairbairn, 54-yard field goal to make it 27-23. Chigo Konko catches a 70-yard pass from Levis on a, I don't even know what happened. This was off a pick six from Jimmy Ward in the third, and then the Kaimi Fairbairn field goal. Chigo Konko catches a 20-something yard pass, and nobody's there to meet him to tackle him. And he just runs it down 70 yards, 70 yards. And then they get a safety with, with CJ trying to create space in the back of the end zone to, on a trying to do a game-winning drive, and just couldn't do it. But why did that have to happen, the game-winning drive? Because Kaimi Fairbairn missed the game-time field goal. Okay, so Will Levis goes 18 for 24, 278, 2 touchdowns and a pick, 8 sacks for 41 yards, 65.6 QBR, 123.3 rating. Pollard goes 24 for 119. They couldn't stop Pollard. And a touchdown, 5 yards a carry. They ran for 33 times for 132, 4 yards a carry, and passed it 24 times. So 9 on the favor of the run game in play type. Calvin Ridley went 5 for 93 on 6 targets. Chiga Konko caught that one pass for 70 yards and a touchdown. Tyler Boyd went 6 for 55 on 6 targets. And Westbrook Akine went 2 for 48 in the long of 38. That was their first touchdown. And then Pollard caught 3 for 10. Levis lost a fumble, then recovered it. Lost one and recovered one. Jaquan Jackson lost one, and Brunskill fumbled one as well. Their defense gave them 4 sacks. Harold Landry III won. Jeffrey Simmons, old reliable, one. Tavondre Sweat, the rookie from Texas, won. And Ali Gay got one. They got Kenneth Murray with a pick. They got Jarvis Brownlee Jr. Got a pick, the rookie. And they're kicking, and Nick Folk went 3 for 3 for 12 points. And that's going to be big, because when we go to the Texans go 20 for 33, 247, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 4 sacks for 27 yards, 23.7 QBR, a 78.7 rating, so not very good. Joe Mixon goes 14 for 22. They ran the ball 17 times, threw the ball 33 times. That's not a minute-winning formula. And they only ran the ball for 40 yards and 2.4 yards a carry, so they couldn't do much with it. Nico Collins went 5 for 92 and a touchdown on 9 targets. Tank Dell went 3 for 72 on 5 targets. Cade Stover went 3 for 26 and a touchdown on 4 targets. Joe Mixon went 5 for 23 on 6 targets. Dalton Schultz went 2 for 20 on 2 targets. Chris Boyd recovered a fumble. Mario Edwards Jr. recovered a fumble. Their defense gave them 8 sacks, and you lose. You get 8 sacks from your defense, and you lose. That's embarrassing. You got 3 sacks from Daniil Hunter. Absolutely monster. Derek Barnett got a sack. 2 sacks from Will Anderson on his day back. Tommy Togai gave you a sack. 8 sacks. Jimmy Ward got a pick and a touchdown. Run it back for a pick 6. And you lose. Because Kaimi Fairbairn goes 2 for 3. 2 for 3. And misses the game time field goal. That's tough. Now, you're still above in the AFC South. But still, you need to be a better position. You're still the 4 seed. And you got to build momentum. So we'll see what happens later. But Tennessee 3-8 now. And that bunch of crap teams, whether they go get a quarterback if they don't want Will Levis no more, or they go get a weapon, we'll see. Lions Colts 24-6. This was a massacre. Although AR played better, the Lions are the best team in the NFL. I love the Chiefs, but as a complete team, health, offensive line, defense playing well, running game, passing game, the Lions. Jared Goff, 26 for 36, 269. No touchdowns, no picks, 3 sacks for 16 yards, 42.2 QBR, a 93.4 rating. So nothing crazy, but the running game, Jameer went 21 for 90 and 2 touchdowns. And David Montgomery went 8 for 37 and a touchdown. They didn't use him that much. 33 rushes for 137 yards, 4.2 yards a carry, and 3 touchdowns from the running game. 36 passes to 33 runs. Pretty good balance. Jamison Williams with 5 for 64 on 7 targets. Amon-Ra went 6 for 62 on 7 targets. Tim Patrick went 4 for 55 on 4 targets. David Montgomery 3 for 36 on 3 targets. Laporta went 3 for 19 on 6 targets. Jared Goff fumbled, but David Montgomery recovered it. Their defense gave him 0 sacks, 0 interceptions. They just dominated the game. They just kept the Colts from scoring and moving the ball, really, and just dominated the game. It's literally what they did. The Colts, Anthony Richardson, 11 for 28 for 172. 0 sacks, 0 TDs, 0 picks, 48.3 QBR, a 60.4 rating. AR went 10 for 61 on the ground. Jonathan Taylor, 11 for 35. They ran the ball 21 times for 96 yards, 4.6 yards a carry. 28 passing attempts, 21 run plays, 7 play discrepancy. Michael Pittman went 6 for 96, his best thing of the season on 7 targets. Alec Pierce went 1 for 39 on 4 targets. Josh Downs went 3 for 27 on 7 targets. Adonai Mitchell 1 for 10 on 3 targets. Jonathan Taylor fumbled. Anthony Richardson fumbled. He recovered both Taylor's and his. Their defense gave him 3 sacks. Zaire Franklin got 1. DeForest Buckner got 1. And Latu, the rookie out of UCLA, got 1. No interceptions. Just couldn't do anything. They could not do anything against this Lions team. It's the best team in the NFL. They go to 5-7. That helps the Texans because they drop 1. And now they're 10-1 and number 1 in the NFC. Another close game. But the Vikings pull it out in Chicago. 9-2. And Bears go to 4-7 in a very close game where Caleb played pretty well. They won an OT on a game-winning field goal. Did the Minnesota Vikings. You had a Roshan Johnson run to make it 7-0 Chicago in the first quarter. Second quarter, Addison catches a 2-yard pass from Sam Darnold. That's 7-7. Jalen Naylor catches a 5-yard pass from Darnold. 14-7. Cairo Santos hits a 49-yard field goal. 14-10.5. Third quarter, John Parker Romo hits a 40-yard field goal, 17-10. Aaron Jones runs it in from 2 yards, 24-10. And then in the fourth, you got DJ Moore on a 10-yard pass, 24-16 from Williams. John Parker Romo hits a 26-yarder, 27-16. Keenan Allen catches a 1-yard pass from Caleb with 22 seconds left, and hits DJ Moore for the 2-point conversion. That's 24-27. And then Cairo Santos with zeros on the clock after a onside kick recovery. Cairo Santos is a 48-yarder, 27-27. In overtime, Vikings stop him. And John Parker Romo hits a 29-yarder after Sam Darnold drives him down the field. This was not a JJ game. This was a Jordan Addison game. As I said before the beginning of the season, when you have 2 number ones, you have the luxury to pick who you're going to exploit that week. They tried to cover JJ. JJ was fine with it. Jordan Addison popped off. Sam Darnold went 22 for 34, 330, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 3 sacks for 16 yards, 82.6 QBR, a 116.1 rating. Aaron Jones went 22 for 106 on the ground and a touchdown. They ran the ball 27 times for 124, 4.6 yards a carry. Pretty good. 34 pass attempts to 27 runs. That's all right. Jordan Addison went 8 catches for 162 and a touchdown, a long of 69 on 9 targets. TJ Hawkinson went 7 for 114 on 9 targets. Justin Jefferson went 2 for 27 on 5 targets. Number 1 receiver in the league. Let his number 2, which is actually a number 1, 88 for 162, and TJ Hawkinson fully back, 7 catches for 114, including a big catch in overtime. Aaron Jones fumbled and lost it. Bo Richter recovered one. Their defense gave him 3 sacks. Andrew Van Ginkel and 2 by Jonathan Grenard. No picks. John Parker Romo went 3 for 3 on field goals. And they were just a better team in the end, situationally. Caleb went 32 for 47, 340, 2 touchdowns, 3 sacks for 20 yards, 77.4 QBR, a 103.1 rating. Caleb Williams also ran 6 for 33. DeAndre Swift went 13 for 30. They ran the ball 22 times for 78 yards, 3.5 yards a carry. 47 times they passed, so 22 to 47 discrepancy in play type is insane. DJ Moore went 7 for 107 on a long of 37 and a touchdown. Keenan Allen went 9 for 86 and a touchdown and a long of 40. Cole Kmet went 7 for 64 on 10 targets. Keenan Allen had 15 targets. DJ Moore had 7 targets. That's what you want to see. Roma Dunze had 10 targets. He went 5 for 39. DeAndre Swift went 3 for 35 on 4 targets. DeAndre Carter fumbled and lost it. Keenan Allen fumbled and recovered it. And Jonathan Owens recovered a fumble. They got 3 sacks from their defense. DeMarcus Walker got 1. Montez Sweat got 1. And Jacob Martin got 1. No picks. And Cairo Santos missed a field goal to basically tie it in overtime. And Minnesota took it down and hit a chip shot field goal at the end. Minnesota survives. They keep up with by one, only behind 1 game behind the Lions for the number 1 seed and also number 1 in the NFC North. And Chicago goes to 4-7, and basically their season is done. Broncos beat the Raiders 29-19. This was not even basically competitive. This was 3-0, 3-7, 7-6, 10-6, 10-9, 9-13, 16-3. So, in the first half, Will Lutz got a field goal, 3-0. Amir Abdullah catches a 6-yard pass from Gardner Minshew, 7-3. Will Lutz hits a field goal, 6-7. Daniel Carson hits a field goal, 6-10. Will Lutz hits a 54-yarder, 9-10. Daniel Carson at the end of the half, 13-9 on a 34-yard field goal. Then Cortland Sutton catches an 18-yard pass early in the third, 16-13. Nothing happens in the third quarter after that. Then Will Lutz hits a field goal, 19-13. Daniel Carson hits a field goal, 53-yarder, 19-16. Cortland Sutton got the 2-yard pass from Bo Nix, 26-16. Daniel Carson hits a 22-yarder, and then Will Lutz hits a 33-yarder with 1:56 left to ice the game. But it was mostly dominated by the Broncos. Bo Nix goes 25 for 42, 273, two touchdowns, no picks, 1 sack for 11 yards, 64.7 QBR, 94.6 rating. Jaleel McLaughlin went 7 for 44. Audric Estime went 3 for 15. Javonte Williams, 8 for -2. That is ridiculous. 22 runs for 63 yards, 2.9 yards a carry as a team. That the Raiders have a good run defense. 42-22, so a 20 play discrepancy from play type. Cortland Sutton went 8 for 97 and 2 touchdowns on 10 targets. Javon Vele, the rookie out of Utah, he went 6 for 80 on 9 targets. Marvin Mims went 3 for 44 on 5 targets. Troy Franklin went 2 for 31 on 4 targets. Malcolm Roach recovered a fumble. Their defense gave him 5 sacks, half by Cody Martin, 1 by Nick Bonito, 1 by Jonah Ellis, half by DJ Jones, and half by Jonathan Cooper, and half by Iowuma Uzurike. Brandon Jones got a pick, and Will Lutz went 5 for 5. So he accounted for 17 points. They moved to 7-5. Raiders are 2-9, and at the top of that draft board. Gardner Minshew got hurt. He broke his collarbone. He's done for the season, so it's going to be Desmond Ridder for the rest of the year. 25 for 42 for Gardner, 230, 1 pick, 1 touchdown, 3 sacks for 12 yards, 36.4 QBR. 72.5 rating. Sincere McCormick, guy never heard of. He went 5 for 33 on the ground. Amir Abdullah went 8 for 28. They ran the ball 16 times for 69 yards, 4.3 yards a carry, and threw the ball 42 times. So even a bigger discrepancy, 16 to 42 run the pass. Jacoby Myers went 10 for 121 quietly because I didn't hear about any of that on 15 targets. Trey Tucker went 7 for 82 on 8 targets. Brock Bowers went 4 for 38. Much maligned performance on 10 targets. Amir Abdullah went 5 for 37 and a touchdown on 6 targets. Desmond Ridder fumbled and lost it. Gardner Minshew fumbled and recovered it. Their defense gave him 1 sack by Tyree Wilson, the second-year man out of Texas Tech. No interceptions. Daniel Carson went 4 for 4 on field goals. And that was all she wrote. You know? Now the Broncos are right there in the playoff push. Now Bo Nix also takes the lead in the Rookie of the Year because of Jaden Daniels' last 3 games and Bo Nix' last 4 games where he's thrown 16 touchdowns and 2 picks or no picks, something like that. With Sean Payton, you knew that this was going to happen. A guy that was 64 starts under him in between Auburn and Oregon. You knew that he was going to get it. Now he's fully engulfed in this offense. He's finding Cortland Sutton on his one-on-ones, and he's just taking advantage of what's there, and this defense is very stingy. Pat Surtain, Nick Bonito, Jonathan Cooper. Allen wasn't there today. You have Moss on the other, Riley Moss on the other side, so McMillan as a slot. So you have a very, very good defense, and also this offense is playing pretty well with Bo Nix. Packers destroy the 49ers. I picked the 49ers before Brock Purdy was ruled out. So I would have picked the Packers if Brock Purdy was out. Packers go to 8-3. This wasn't even competitive. This was 17-0 in the second quarter. Brandon Jacobs got 3 touchdowns and dominated. You know, this was just a walkover. Brandon Allen went 17 for 29 for 199, a pick and a touchdown. 2 sacks for 2 yards, 38.2 QBR, a 76.7 rating. McCaffrey went 11 for 31, not effective at all. They ran the ball 16 times for 44 yards, 2.8 yards a carry, threw the ball 29. George Kittle went 6 for 82 and a touchdown on 6 targets. Jawan Jennings 5 for 40 on 7 targets. Christian McCaffrey 3 for 37 on 4 targets. Debo 1 for 21 on 4 targets, including one that went through his hands, and Xavier McKinney picked off for his 7th pick of the year. Brandon Allen fumbled twice, lost 1, recovered the other. Christian McCaffrey rarely fumbles, but he fumbled in the first quarter. Really changed the dynamic of the game because they were driving, I believe. Jordan Mason fumbled. Isaac Guerrero fumbled. So all 3 running backs fumbled, plus the quarterback fumbled twice. And Christian McCaffrey lost that fumble. Chris Conley recovered one of the fumbles, and Ben Barch recovered another fumble. Then they got 2 sacks from the defense. No Nick Bosa, no Trent Williams, no Brock Purdy. So you knew they were going to lose. Essentially, it's in Lambeau. 2 sacks by Leonard Floyd, and then that's it. No interceptions. I mean, it was a massacre, guys. They're 5-6 now. It's going to be tough in that NFC West, especially where we're going to get to Seattle on what they did to become the number 1 team in that division. Jordan Love, 13 for 23, 163, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 2 sacks for 7 yards, 57 QBR, a 107.7 rating. Josh Jacobs, 26 for 106 and 3 touchdowns, just dominated. Emmanuel Wilson went 9 for 41. They ran the ball 42 times for 169, 4 yards a carry. Only threw the ball 23 times. No need to throw the ball. Romeo Doubs, 3 for 54 on 6 targets. Tucker Kraft, 2 for 26 and a touchdown on 2 targets. Jaden Reed, 3 for 26 on 3 targets. Dontavian Wicks, 1 for 25 on 2 targets. Malik Heath, 2 for 15 and a touchdown. The last touchdown of the game on 2 targets. You know, Kenny Clark recovered a fumble. Carl Brooks recovered a fumble. They got 2 sacks from their defense. One by Rashawn Gary, the other one by Lucas Van Ness, and he forced a fumble. Xavier McKinney got his 7th pick to tie Kirby Joseph for most in the league. And it was just a dominant. Now they go against the Dolphins at home, so we'll see what that's going to be a good game on Thanksgiving. Cardinals Seahawks. Seahawks win at home 16-6, shut down the Arizona Cardinals running game. Get a pick 6 from Kobe Bryant. Kyler goes 24 for 37, 285, no touchdowns and a pick, 5 for 36 on sacks, 50.1 QBR of 77 rating. Trey Benson goes 4 for 18. Amari DeMarcado goes 1 for 14. James Conner went 7 for 8, 14 carries for 49 yards, 3.5 yards a carry, 37 pass attempts, no balance at all. Trey McBride went 12 for 133 on 15 targets, very quietly. Didn't hear about that. Michael Wilson went 2 for 54 on 4 targets. Marvin Harrison Jr. went 3 for 47 on 6 targets. James Conner 1 for 41 on 5 targets. No fumbles. Their defense gave them 5 sacks. 1 by Budda Baker on a blitz, 1 by Zaven Collins, 1 by Jesse Luketa, 1 by Dante Stills, and 1 by LJ Collier. They got a pick by Garrett Williams, but nothing doing after that. Geno Smith went 22 for 31, 254, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 5 for 34 on sacks, 42.6 QBR, a rating of 92.7. Kenneth Walker, 16 for 31. Zach Charbonnet, 6 for 22. They ran the ball 25 times for 65 yards, 2.6 yards a carry, nothing crazy. 31 attempts, passing attempts, so 25 to 31. Jackson Smith and Jigba went 6 for 77 and a touchdown on 7 targets. DK Metcalf 4 for 59 on 5 targets. Kenneth Walker 4 for 52 on 6 targets. Tyler Lockett 2 for 20 on 3 targets. Geno Smith fumbled but recovered it. Their defense gave them 5 sacks, 1 by Tyrese Knight, another one by 2.5 by Leonard Williams, 1 by half by Jaron Reed. Boye Mafe gave him 1. And then Kobe Durant took a 69-yard pick to the house. And that was it. 16-6. 6-5, leading the division. Seahawks. Now Cardinals dropped to 6-5. You have the 6-5. Actually, no, you have the 5-6 Rams because of what the Eagles did to them last night. So it's basically between the Cardinals and Seahawks for that division right now because now the 49ers are 5-6 and also all the Rams. So they have to play catch up and hope that Seahawks or Cardinals stumble. Eagles, Rams, we talked about this at the beginning. Saquon goes for 255. Jalen Hurts, 15 for 22, 179. Didn't need to do much. A touchdown, no picks, 1 sack for 12 yards, 77.9 QBR, 108 rating. He's just being cautious. He's knowing what he has in the backfield. Saquon goes 26 for 255, a 9.8 average, 2 touchdowns, a long of 72, 2 plus 70 yarders. Kenneth Gainwell, 5 for 22 and a touchdown. Jalen Hurts, 12 for 39 on 12 carries. A.J. Brown went 6 for 109 and a touchdown on 7 targets. Saquon Barkley went 4 for 47 and a long of 31 on 4 targets. Dallas Goedert went 4 for 19 on 5 targets. Jahan Dotson went 1 for 4 on 1 target. No Devontae Smith. I think he'll be back this upcoming week. A recovery by Nakobe Dean. And then they got 5 sacks. Nakobe Dean got 1 on a blitz. Brandon Graham got 1 before he tore his tricep or his pec, and he's done for the year and might retire. Josh Sweat got 1. And then who else? You got 2 by Milton Williams. No picks. Jake Elliott went 3 for 3 on field goals. Just a real clean win. 9-2. For the Rams, 24 for 36, 248, 243, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 5 sacks for 45 yards, a QBR of 78.4, 104.3 rating. Kyron Williams went 16 for 72 and a touchdown, 18 for 92, 5.1 yards a carry. They passed the ball 36 times and ran it 18 times, so they were down a lot, so they had to try to come back. Puka Nacua went 9 for 117 on 13 targets. Cooper Kupp went 8 for 60 and a touchdown on 11 targets. Tutu Atwell went 3 for 30 on 3 targets. Demarcus Robinson went 2 for 15 and a touchdown on 3 targets. Kyron Williams fumbled twice, lost 1. Stafford fumbled. Cooper Kupp fumbled. Steve Avila recovered 1. Bill Limmer recovered the other. Their defense gave him 1 sack. Came from Braden Fisk, the rookie out of FSU. And no picks. And Cardi missed a field goal. His only 1 field goal. 37-20. Like I said, Saquon took over basically right after. So has a good first half. And then first play from scrimmage in the second half, he takes his 70 on that play that I said that he stopped and started and kept going down the sideline. And then to end it with exactly 2 minutes and 44 seconds left. It was 30-14, and he took it 72 yards untouched. The left side of the offensive line, 37-14, and then Cooper Kupp caught a 27-yard pass from Stafford to make it 37-20, but the game was over at that point. 9-2 Eagles. What do we got tonight? Ravens-Chargers. No Roquan Smith. That's going to be big for that defense. I believe the Chargers are still underdog. The 2 Harbaugh brothers going back at it since the Super Bowl in New Orleans, where the lights went out and the Ravens won over the 49ers. Going to be a special matchup, 7-4 versus 7-3. Essentially, the 5th and 6th seed in the AFC, along with the Broncos. It's going to be a big game. If they go to 8-4, Ravens are still there with the Pittsburgh Steelers and going to go try to chase down the division crown. If the Chargers win, they just stay a couple of games back of Kansas City if they were to slip, but keep their playoff positioning there at 6, or maybe jump the Ravens for that 5th spot. I think Lamar's going to have a pretty good game. Justin Herbert will have a good game just because that Ravens defense is just, especially that passing defense, is just not good enough. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. The over-under's at 50.5. Baltimore's a 3-point favorite on the road. Money line is Chargers plus 135. I think that the Chargers have no answer for Derrick Henry, so that's going to be the big swing factor there. And what Zay Flowers can do against Asante Samuel Jr. and Derwin James and Bateman and Mark Andrews and what that linebacking core does against Lamar. Can they corral him? But I think the Ravens can squeak out this win, but I think it's a close game. If we look at the standings real quick before we move to the NBA, Buffalo's at 9-2, controlling the AFC East. Pittsburgh's at 8-3. Like I said, Baltimore can get to 8-4 and be right there if Pittsburgh slips again. Other than that, Cincinnati's at 4-7 and Cleveland's at 3-8. Houston's at 7-5 and Indy's at 5-7. So they still have a control of the AFC South, but they can't keep slipping. KC is 10-1, and the Chargers are 7-3. If they win tonight, they're 8-3. So right there, if the Chiefs were to slip, but they have to win tonight, because if not, Denver's nipping at their heels at 7-5 for that 6th seed. Philadelphia's at 9-2, and Washington's still at 7-5. Dallas at 4-7. Giants are 2-9. So right now they have a pretty good lead on it, but if they slip and Washington somehow gets, starts bouncing back from the, basically the Cliff Kingsbury cliff, no pun intended, that, that every team with Cliff Kingsbury has hit, including his Kyler teams. Maybe they can fight for it again, but right now Philadelphia has a good handle on it. And then NFC North, the most competitive, well-put division in football. 10-1 Detroit, right behind them with Minnesota, 9-2, just in case Detroit slips. And right behind them, 8-3 Green Bay with a pretty good chance to keep adding to that win column as the season winds down. Atlanta at 6-5, Tampa Bay at 5-6, and then you have New Orleans at 4-7, Carolina at 3-8. Atlanta has to win. If not, Tampa Bay might take them up because it would be 6-6 versus 6-6, assuming that Tampa Bay wins their next game. And in the division, the only reason Tampa Bay is under them besides their record is because Atlanta's 4-1 in the division. So Atlanta can close it out in the next coming weeks, but they have to because Tampa Bay might be nipping at their heels. Seattle's at 6-5. Arizona's at 6-5. Rams is at 5-6, and San Francisco's at 5-6. Anything can happen in the NFC West. Is the most competitive and tight knit. That's going to come down to the wire division. Seattle can slip up at any time. Arizona can slip up at any time. The Rams can get hot, and San Francisco with Brock Purdy can get hot as well. So I can't even call that. Right now, I'm leaning still San Francisco if they get Brock Purdy back. The Rams to some extent as well. I still like them. Arizona has to find their identity again, and Seattle seems like they're rounding into shape, but with Geno Smith, you never know. Okay. As for the stats, they've changed a little bit. Geno Smith is now leading the league in passing, 3,035. Joe Burrow right behind him at 3,028. Lamar at 2,876. He can add to that and maybe pass Geno Smith by the end of tonight. CJ Stroud at 2,875 and Kirk Cousins at 2,807. Saquon passed Derrick Henry. Derrick can try to pass him today, but he's at 392, almost 1,400. And Derrick is at 1,085, so he needs a big game tonight, which he can have. Jacobs is at 944. Gibbs is at 886. No doubt that he'll get to 1,000. And then Chuba Hubbard's at 876. Didn't see Jonathan Brooks. I don't know what happened. He was fully to go. No pitch count, but didn't play the rookie. So we'll see what happens in the coming weeks for the Panthers. Jamar Chase is still leading the receivers because Justin Jefferson had a malign week 12. He's at 1,056. Jefferson's at 139. CeeDee Lamb's at 841. McLaurin is at 823. And George Pickens at 776. Defensive leaders, Zaire Franklin and Nick Cross still lead the whole league in tackles, 123 and 116. Roquan Smith, who's not playing tonight, is 110. EJ Speed, the other Indiana Colt, he's at 108. And Budda Baker's at 107. Trey Henderson still leads the league in sacks, 11.5. Daniil Hunter's now at 10.5, so he's right behind him. Myles Garrett at 10. Nick Bonito is at 10 for the Denver, and Will Anderson's at 9.5. And then interceptions, Xavier McKinney and Kirby Joseph with 7 each. Marvin Humphrey has 5, so maybe he can get one tonight. Dante Jackson has 4 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Byron Murphy has 4. All right, and finishing up with the NBA Cup, I believe it's tomorrow. Today we have Magic Hornets. They're in the first quarter. Raptors Pistons. They're in the first. Pelicans Pacers. They're in the first. Mavericks Hawks at 7:30 on NBA TV. Clippers Celtics at 7:30. Trailblazers Grizzlies at 8. Knicks Nuggets, pretty good game at 9. Nets Warriors at 10. And Thunder Kings, pretty good game at 10 on NBA TV. If we look at the standings at they stand right now, Cleveland, after losing to Boston, they're 17-1. They have a 2.5 game lead in the East over Boston at 14-3. Boston just beat Cleveland and the Timberwolves. They beat the Timberwolves by 3 yesterday after being up 20. So again, leads evaporating. I think that is going to be a telltale sign even when Porzingis comes back because they keep chucking threes. And I think teams are going to start walking them down, especially when they face the better competition, more polished competition of the playoffs, in my opinion. Orlando's doing well without Paolo, 11-7, but they're already 6 games back. New York recovered. They're at 9-7. Miami's at 7-7 with back-to-back 30-point games from Jimmy. Thank you, Jimmy. Can you please continue? Milwaukee is slowly creeping back. They're at 8-9, 6th, 8.5 back already, which is insane with only have played a grand total of 17 games, and they're already 8.5 back. You know, Miami 8 back, 7 back is New York, 6 back is Orlando at the 3rd seed, 2.5 back is Boston, the only one in striking distance really. Atlanta's at 7-10, Indiana's at 7-10, Brooklyn's at 7-10, and Chicago's at 7-11. Those are your 7, 8, 9, and 10. Detroit at 7-11. Charlotte's at 6-10 with a 50-point loss. With LaMelo going 50-10 and losing 2 days ago. Toronto, Scotty is back 4-13. Philly is a dumpster fire. They're done basically 13 games back. They're only 3 games back from the play-in, so they can recover, but they need to recover quick. And Embiid is not helping. And then Washington's 2-11, 2-13, worst team in the NBA as of right now. In the Western Conference, you got Golden State at 12-4, even though they just lost yesterday. You have OKC at 12-4. So they're tied at 1-2, basically. Houston, 12-6, still going strong. Tari Eason, Van Fleet got fined today for some gestures, but he's been playing well. No Cam Whitmore not playing, but Amen Thompson's playing great. Tari Eason's playing great. Sengun, Jalen Green's playing great. So their team is playing pretty well. Reed Shepherd is finding his footing as a rookie. And then the Lakers are 10-6, two back of the Golden State. Houston's only 1 back. So, this is a lot more paired up as we expected at the beginning of the season. Clippers surprise 11-7 with no Kawhi, just Powell and James Harden and Zubac. Denver 9-6, 2.5 games back of number 1 in the 6th spot. Memphis with no John Morant, still at 10-7. Scottie Pippen Jr. just got his first 30-point game. So when John Morant comes back, I think it's going to be a potent team. Phoenix at 9-7 with Joe Devin Booker, even though Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal are slated to come back, I think, this week. 9-8 Dallas are 9, 3.5 games back. Just a game back of 6th. Just got to keep figuring out the offense. Luka has to get back to that level. San Antonio 9-8, 3.5 games back. Stephon Castle playing great, the rookie from UConn. Wemby's playing great when he plays because sometimes he's taking days off. Haven't seen Devin Vassell have that impact that we expect from him, but they're playing pretty well with the absence of a Pop. Minnesota's at 11 at 8-8, only half game back of 10 because they just lost to the Celtics. Sacramento's at 8-9. Portland's at 7-10. Utah's at 4-12, and New Orleans, with all those injuries, are 4-13. As we look at stats, Giannis is still leading the league in scoring, 32.4. Jokic is having a great season at 30.3. LaMelo's at 30.2. Anthony Davis at 30.1 and De'Aaron Fox at 28.9. Anthony Edwards is at 27.9. Doncic is at 28.1. SGA's at 28.7. Tatum's at 28.9. De'Aaron Fox at 28.9. Lillard's at 25.2. Brunson's at 25.1. Yeah, scoring is okay right now, except Giannis and, the guys that are going dummy, which is basically Giannis, Jokic, LaMelo, Anthony Davis. Those guys are 30 a game, 32.4 a game for Giannis. It's crazy. Trae Young, 11.7 assists, leading the league, 11.3 for Jokic. So Jokic is top 2 in assist and points. And then in rebounds, he's number 1. So he's number 1 in rebounds, number 2 in points, and number 2 in assists. That's insane. That's incredible, Jokic. Having another, could be a quadruple MVP. Trae Young, Jokic at 11.3 assists. Then you got LeBron at 9.1, Cade Cunningham at 8.9, James Harden at 8.7. Anthony Edwards is leading the league in three-pointers made per game at 4.9. LaMelo's at 4.6, Tyler Herro's at 4.1, Tatum, and then Curry, both at 4.1 and 4 respectively. Rebounds, Jokic is at 13.9 a game, insane. DeMontis is at 13.1. Zubac at 12.5. Karl Anthony Towns 12.5, and Jakob Poeltl 12.3. You got Victor Wembanyama leading blocks at 3.6 a game. Brook Lopez at 2.3. Klingon, the rookie from UConn, 2.2. Alex Sarr, the rookie from France, 2 2.2 a game, and then Anthony Davis 1.9. And then steals, Dyson Daniels is still leading the league in steals in 3.2 a game. J-Dub at 2.2, Tari Eason at 2.2, Jordan Poole at 1.9, and Alex Caruso at 1.8. In teams, I don't think much has changed. Cleveland's still the number one offense. Still got Memphis up there. You still got Boston, Golden State, and Denver. Field goal percentage, Cleveland, New York, Pacers, Kings, Memphis. Point differential, Cleveland, OKC, Boston, Golden State, Houston. In defense, Orlando still number one, OKC number two, Rockets, Clippers, Golden State. Golden State in rebounds. Houston's leading the league in rebounds. Golden State number two, Memphis, Detroit, Clippers. And then blocks, Memphis, OKC, San Antonio, Portland, and then Orlando. All right, guys, that is episode 155 of the Exec Talk Podcast. I'm your host, El Velez. As always, I love you guys. Thank you for all the support. Like, subscribe, hit the comments. Follow me on my socials, and I leave you all with the outro.
El exec, el Vele,